it to you, because they're not going to bring you anybody that is shit, okay? And there is so much shit country. I'm not saying what I am or what I'm not, but I'm just saying, I want you to pay attention. If Rogue picks them to come here, then come and check them out. Even if you've never heard of them, just because you hadn't heard of them doesn't mean they're very successful, and it doesn't mean that they're not badass, all right? So please, follow Rogue, get on the internet, get on the Instagram and all the Facebook, and pay attention to who they have coming over here, because this is just a couple of guys who believe in it. And they're booking my hotels, they're getting us from place to place, setting up the PAs, and doing all of it for the love of country music so that you can have a chance to come out here on a Saturday night. And that is everything.
What is going on, you rogues, rebels, and renegades? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Rogue Country Podcast. I am Mike West. We have Dom Glynn chatting with us today. I'm so hyped for you to listen to this. Dom Glynn is one of the trailblazers of the country scene currently. I've been lucky enough to have Paul Armour, Susanna Clegg, and now Dom Glynn. And I think those three artists are what country music in the UK needs right now. But before we get into the chat with Dom, let's talk about our shows. We've just announced the phenomenal Grey DeLisle, the Grammy-winning singer-songwriter and the most prolific voice actress in American animation history. She is coming to the UK, she is touring, and we have her playing the Northern Powerhouse, a new venue for us, in Birkenhead on the 9th of May. We cannot wait. She is also playing the Green Man in Bristol on May 7th. May 8th, she's playing the Borough Arms in Weston-super-Mare. On May 9th, she's with us at the Northern Powerhouse in Birkenhead. And on May 10th, she's at the West Hampstead Arts Club. Do not miss Grey when she is in the UK. The music is incredible. Her voice acting career is insane. She's Daphne in Scooby-Doo. She's Vicky in Fairly Odd Parents. If you look at her Wikipedia or IMDb, you will have seen her in something. It is insane. But that's not all, guys. What else have we got coming up? We've teamed up with the Swinging Arm because they believe in our mission of bringing great country music to the people of the Northwest, and we believe in bringing back the legacy of being called the Nashville of the North. So what are we bringing up? We are bringing Fine Lines on Monday the 6th of April to the Swinging Arm. On the 3rd of June, it's Bob Sumner with Tom Hodge opening. And on Tuesday, the 25th of August, Thunder and Rain, an incredible bluegrass trio with April Moon opening. We're excited to work with April Moon. They've been a local duo for a long time. We've known them. They've come to shows. They've asked for support slots. And this is the important thing. We don't not want to give people gigs. We always want to make sure that the best artists for the bill are on the bill. So if it's not right for you at that time, that doesn't mean that we don't want to work with you. We don't want to have you on a show. We don't want to put you in front of our lovely rogues and rebels. But if it's just not the right bill, it's not the right bill. But the right bill has finally come along for April Moon. They're opening for Thunder and Rain at the Swinging Arm on the 25th of August. So we have 4 incredible country music shows coming to you in Birkenhead. We are hyped to be bringing this incredible music, and we might be bringing a festival later in the year, but shh. But what else are we up to? Breaking Strings, my live album, is doing quite well. I'm really happy everyone's been listening. I'm really glad everyone's enjoying How to Build a Guillotine. That's really ran away with the streaming stats, which is lovely to see. And speaking of streaming stats, I found out this week that Mothman has reached over 1.8 million streams, which is absolutely fucking insane. Thank you so much to everyone who's listened. It's got like 1.7 million streams on TikTok alone. So if you don't want to go on TikTok, I highly recommend it if you're an artist to just get that connection. But make sure you aren't in it for the money, because 1.7 million streams on TikTok has made me £13.30. Isn't that fucked up? But enough about me. Today is about Dom Glynn for episode 79 of the Rogue Country Podcast. We are hyped that we finally got to chat with him. He's a lovely guy, so affable, so knowledgeable, so curious. It was a lovely chat. His album Song and Dance Man came out last year. It's incredible if you love that old style of honky tonk country music. He had a live album come out in December that captured it in an incredible way, and he's releasing some amazing singles this year that you need to listen to. So without further ado, this is episode 79 of the Rogue Country Podcast with Mike West and Dom Glynn. Cool, man. So thanks so much. I took some time off for this podcast, and you're top of the list of the people I want to talk to. It was you, Paul Armour, Susanna Clegg, and there just seems to be like five or six artists like yourselves that are really coming to the forefront of like country music in the UK at the moment, and I think that's a really kind of interesting. I don't necessarily think it's a scene because it's so kind of fragmented still, but there's
Mhm.
definitely some like front runners for some really cool music happening in the UK right now.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, I'm aware of both those guys too. They're great. I mean, I think you're specifically kind of talking about like a rootsy sort of country
Mm,
music too, because there's yeah, I mean, country's a wide umbrella, isn't there?
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on under the country umbrella, but for I think the sort of stuff I like, and I'm guessing you like by who you've mentioned, that sort of more rootsy stuff. Yeah, there is some cool stuff happening now, and it's good to see because it's a bit more inspiring if you're not the only one having a crack at it.
Yeah, how long have you been like? Because I know it feels kind of pre or since COVID. I've really been aware of your music and stuff. When did you really start kind of doing this kind of music and putting like the Sunday best together and stuff?
Pushing it, yeah. Well, I moved to London when I was 19, which is nearly 10 years ago, actually. I sort of, I was studying and I'd play in bars and stuff, but it wasn't too serious like a career or anything. And then after lockdown, I was just so focused on making a living that the whole idea of like an artist project
Mm.
was just, not something I was really concerned with. I reckon I was about 26 when things were sort of stable enough that I could start to focus more on trying to get my music out there, and I put a band together, and so it must only be three,
Mm.
just a bit more years ago that I really started to take it a bit seriously. The whole trying to be an artiste. Before then, I was just trying to play gigs and pay the bills.
Yeah. And what kind of were your influences? Like, how long have you been playing? Because you're a phenomenal guitarist. How long have
Oh,
you been
cheers, man.
playing for?
I started when I was 12. My mate had Guitar Hero, and I, tried the real guitar because of that, and played all through my teens. I used to sort of remember I quit video games so I could practice guitar, and I played for 3-4 hours a day, kind of thing. But it's sort of rock guitar I was into.
Mm.
So when you're like a teenage boy, it's kind of AC/DC and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Your sort of acoustic blues doesn't quite appeal in the same way. So yeah, I used to play all that kind of stuff, and then got into the acoustic guitar a bit later in my teens and early 20s, and finger picking and whatnot.
Yeah.
And especially over lockdown, it was like I had nothing to do but practice. So I'd get up and do like a work day of guitar practice every day, and sort of get good at finger picking.
No way, man. What were the like influences that made you kind of switch to acoustic? Was it kind of the Doc Watsons and those type of guys that you found, or was it like because for me, and I think a lot of people, and a lot of people sometimes complain about this, like Nirvana's Unplugged seems to be a
Right.
really like influential like acoustic album for folks
It's a
because
great
like
album, yeah.
it is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
phenomenal and it's got Lead Belly on it and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that deserves a lot more credit for people finding acoustic music. But what brought you to the acoustic?
Well, I got an acoustic guitar because I got into Bob Dylan. Uh, and Bob Dylan sort of just blew my mind,
Mm.
he's still probably my number one guy. But for a period of about 5 years, probably starting at 16, I was just completely obsessed. He was like the Pope and I was a Catholic sort of thing. Yeah, and so I got an acoustic because I wanted to write songs. I mean, I think Bob Dylan's probably inspired so many people who can't really, because I couldn't sing. I'm not a great singer now, but I really couldn't sing then. And you know, but having a go at writing songs, despite the fact you're not some sort of
Yeah.
insane pop vocalist, sort of Dylan makes possible. So, but it's because of him. And I was a big fan of Rory Gallagher, the Irish blues rock guy. He was my favourite guitar player, and he also did some acoustic stuff. Similar to what you're saying with Nirvana and Lead Belly, he'd do covers of the old American country blues guys, and it would sort of lead you back to it. So through that, and then I got into Doc Watson, and I checked out. I sort of did a whole tour of the who's who of the acoustic blues guys to find who I like, because they've all got their own, individual personalities. They're
Yeah.
all completely different. You know, I mean, there's sort of the regional styles, Piedmont blues and Delta, Hill Country, all that stuff. But even within that, everyone's a bit different. But my very favourite was a guy called, and is a guy called Mississippi John Hurt, and he would sort of. I mean, I've got a guitar here I could show you. I don't know if. Yeah. So John Hurt, he his whole thing that I sort of fell in love with was kind of getting the thumb.
Yeah.
Just doing that. And I love that sound to start with. And then he'd play a melody on top. Like that. And I thought, well, that's all I need, you know?
Yeah. That's so fucking cool, man.
It's kind of like piano playing. And if you're a solo singer-songwriter, you know, you'd have a band. That's perfect because it kind of gives you like a little rhythm section with the thumb, the melodies there, and you can kind of then play these instrumental parts in between the sung sections of a song. I mean, it's what Townes Van Zandt, Blaze Foley, Doc Watson, all the finger pickers do this, and I was just like, well, that's sort of as a songwriter, it's kind of the perfect way of playing the guitar, you know.
That's super. I've always wanted to be able to like do, but my brain breaks at getting the thumb kind of in time with like the fingers to do the melody, because I can kind of keep the rhythm, but then the second I need to do anything on like the higher strings or the lower strings, in between that, my head just completely falls off. I've never, no matter how much I've practiced, I've never been able to kind of get it, which is why my like stuff, if I have a finger pick, is just really rudimentary and basic.
Yeah, it takes. I mean, it's. I teach people finger picking, and it's the most boring advice, but it is just you have to just do it.
Yeah.
1,000 times. I mean, I used to put the TV on, and I just sit there for hours just doing the thumb, because trying to get that thing on autopilot. So someone once told me you want it to be like they'd cut your head off, and your thumb would still keep moving for about 10 seconds. You know, that's how you know you've got it. But yeah.
That's so cool, man. And like, I had like a hand injury, which I try and blame on it, but it's purely because I'm lazy and I've not tried to stick with it.
Blaming on the injury, yeah. But it's funny because, you know, that alternating thumb thing, which you get with a lot of those old ragtime blues guys. So you got, you know, John Hurt does it, but Willie McTell and Blind Blake would do it. I mean, he was a bit more complex, but it's in there. And then that completely relates to the Johnny Cash rhythm. So as soon as you put, you know, drums and bass to that sort of playing, the obvious thing to do is instantly becomes, you know, old school country music. But my route into country was kind of very much sort of via the blues.
Yeah.
You know, I was sort of playing ragtime blues stuff, and then when I sort of put a band to it, it was like, oh right, I make country music. But you know, I hadn't sort of set out to do it, so it's kind of a weird one because you always get people whenever you play American music, everyone always wants to know why.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, and if you tell them, I just like it, you see the eyes glaze over. So I make up stories about, you know, getting kidnapped by Dolly Parton or whatever, and that seems to tickle them more. But you know, I don't know what people want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of thing, and like I found the blues before I found country music, and like I was obsessed with like Robert Johnson and Blind Willie Johnson, Howlin' Wolf and stuff, and it's one of them, Blind Willie McTell, and one of those things is like you don't realize how early like Jimmy Rogers country is to me more blues than it is country.
The
evolution of it all.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, if you go way back at the beginning, before it was country and western rhythm and blues, the charts were called race records and hillbilly records. And it was, you know, Jimmy Rogers, I agree, it's pretty much, how is that not blues? But they segregated the markets.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Do we swear? I was going to say it's fucked up. Well, the way it all worked. And, you know, it kind of, I thought about it quite a lot, you know, the segregation of the industries, and then, you know, country music grew into this other beast, and blues kind of did its own thing. But if they hadn't done, who knows how things would have changed, you know. But back then, you know, blues records, you'd have white guys playing on them, and you'd have black guys playing on the country records.
Yep.
So it's a strange if you go back, blues and country, they're really, really similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm like my biggest kind of gripe at the moment, but I don't really want to go massively public with it, is like how many people get up in arms about like what pop has done to country. My
Right.
issue is what rock has done to blues. Because you see
It's
like
a good
blues
point.
festival lines, especially in the UK, and it's all just white dudes playing rock music. Like there's no, you know, blues. In my opinion, there's no like true blues music in there. But then
No.
it's you see
Yeah.
the evolution of electric guitars and stuff in the 50s with Muddy Waters and stuff. But to me, it's still a far removed from what is on a lot of blues lineups.
No, I completely. Yeah, I agree with that. I think blues rock, which sort of spawned in the '60s, is sort of when people say blues these days. A lot of the time, it does mean blues rock, which is a different thing. I mean, I'm not a huge blues rock guy. I love Rory,
Mm.
but he spanned a bit of a wide berth. I think. But yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, it's sort of it's quite hard to be an authentic blues player. It's
Yeah.
part of the when I was trying to do the blues, I struggled with that quite a lot. And when I sort of accidentally started doing country music, sort of that whole issue went away, which I was quite relieved by.
Yeah.
Because when you're sort of like a white guy singing the blues, there's a sort of question about it. I guess it's similar like. I think with punk as well. No one's actually punk. It seems.
No.
Whoever's punks, there's someone saying he's not punk.
Yeah. Have you bought tickets for this, you fucking poser? That's not
Yeah,
punk. Is someone
exactly.
making money off this?
So it's like some sort of like Zen. You can't define Zen. You
No.
can't be punk, and you can't be an authentic blues man. If you're a white guy from England. I mean, there's blues rock, but yeah, it's a tricky one. They're trying to be an authentic performer because you want to be, don't you?
Yeah. I think, and like I was talking to Clegg about this because she was talking about kind of like the American myth, and it's the same thing you were saying, where like Americans will be like, well, why do you play this kind of famously American music? And you're like, well, I just like it. That should be a good enough reason for it.
I agree.
But
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it is people need that American myth of like, well, actually, me great granddad fought Johnny Cash in a bar, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's what I've wanted to do ever since. And it's one of those things where it's the same with blues, where it's like people want to believe it in a way that's never going to be believable. And
Yeah.
that's like the interesting thing I like about your songwriting and like, the Song and Dance Man album is it's steeped in that kind of country blues roots music, but you can still tell that it's an English guy singing it. And you can still tell that there's like a love, like a sincere love for it. And I think it's really interesting,
Oh,
like
thanks.
for me to kind of showcase what you are. I think your wall behind you fits perfectly
Oh, the
with a
Hank
fucking
poster.
with a massive picture of Hank surrounded by like English fields and cottages and like almost Beatrix Potter-esque paintings. I think that's like a perfect summation of your like style.
That's funny. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, no, the Hank poster is sort of it's like a shrine, isn't it? Liv, my girlfriend, she does the great paintings there.
Nice.
She likes painting the English countryside and stuff. But yeah, that's a funny observation. But yeah, it's funny because when you sing the music to you, sort of you got to do a bit of the twang. If you're singing American roots music with an English accent, I don't think it works. It's like having the wrong guitar. It's the tone isn't right. The timbre of it. So you got to do a bit of a twang. But yeah, I try and not go too heavy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the British thing, I think it's the sense of humour aspect maybe is the slightly different angle you can come at if you're from here and not the States, because we've got a different sense of humour.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of, especially the sort of country music I love. Is I like the stuff like the John Prine and Roger
Yeah.
Miller, especially. Has and Hank as well. Actually, there's a lot of humour to it. But yeah, I'm rambling a bit here. I've forgotten what the question was.
No, I think that's fair. I think I don't know if it's the same because everyone says country music came over from kind of Britain through the Celtic inspirations and stuff. And
Mm.
obviously, I feel like English, and the more north you go and into like Scotland and Ireland, there's a lot more
Mm.
crack, there's a lot more wit. And that seems to have made the journey over to, I think, like Kentucky and the Appalachian people seem to have like a same level of like a dry wit and sarcasm, while ours is kind I think it's in a similar vein. Yeah, you can almost see the humor come through it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's funny the history of it, isn't it? Yeah, you get the Scots Irish moving over to Appalachia and then meeting the other immigrants and that ballad tradition surviving. But then, from the 60s onwards, once you get Chet and the Nashville sound, country sort of becomes a different beast. I tend to keep my influences, the sort of stuff I like with country tends to be sort of 60s and earlier. It
Yeah,
tends to be, and it's almost a different genre, like sort of 90s and on. To me, it's a completely different genre.
yeah,
Like if someone sort of when someone says, "Oh, you play country music," and they're thinking of that, they might as well be thinking of techno. To
yeah.
me, it's just like I'm somewhere else with my sort of pool of references. Um, but yeah, I mean that's how it became such a big industry. It kept evolving and bringing in the pop elements and stuff, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's like the hard thing is like where like I always use metal for my point of reference, where metal kind of evolved, but then still split out, so there were still people kind of like holding the fort for those things. Country, for the main, did just kind of almost evolve but stay the same, but it just twisted into something completely unrecognizable from itself. But everyone still was adamant that it was called country music. No one ever wanted to really, outside of, bluegrass, no one's
Yeah,
ever really wanted to
yeah, yeah,
segment country more. When people start doing that and you actually can start finding good stuff. If you're into like
yeah, yeah,
Red
yeah.
Deer country, you can find a lot of artists like that. But it's still trying to lump them into that homogenized country music that just, like you said, it's so different every like 10 years.
No, I agree. I mean, it's why I try and use the label Honky Tonk a lot for what
Mm,
we do to try and just kind of give it
yeah,
its own label that's just, a bit different and makes it easy for someone to understand where we're coming from. But what's cool as well, though, is, certainly these days, I think in the last 10, 20 years, there's a lot of cool music that's kind of clearly influenced by the root stuff, but it's doing something new. I mean, you sort of, you got Sierra Farrell, who's huge now, but I think my favourites of the modern era, sort of Justin Townes Earl and
yeah,
Luke Bell. Luke Bell, especially that self-titled record. I remember I just listened to that to death. I'd like to say what was it like? You wear the grooves out, but of course it was on Spotify, so it's
yeah,
not quite it's not quite as romantic. But I love that album and the song "Where You Been."
yeah,
I think that was like my most played song 2 years running.
yeah.
Yeah, that I would have loved another album. I know they did
The
the
King
King
is
is Back
back.
thing,
Yeah,
which is cool, but yeah, it's tragic, really. But his songwriting, I love the sort. He has the retro sound, but it's really compelling
yeah,
songwriting. So it's not like a novelty act in any way.
yeah,
And I found him very inspiring because like here's a guy doing the retro country thing with a proper modern voice,
yeah,
and it's free of any sort of like what do you call it, kitsch or anything like that.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and Justin Townes Earl's awesome too. His songwriting, I think he probably was the best modern songwriter in my opinion. It's quite a grand statement, came out of nowhere, but yeah,
No, I think it's that,
yeah.
man. And I think like one of my notes that I made when kind of about to have you on the pod was how much I hear Luke Bell's sound in your stuff.
Oh right, I appreciate that. I remember you mentioning it in the review actually as well, which I was very pleased with because yeah, he's definitely a big reference for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
because
yeah, he's sort of upbeat ones too, because I do lean. I don't mind a ballad, but I prefer upbeat honky tonk rockabilly stuff.
yeah,
Because when you're trying to write, you're trying to find stuff to inspire you as well. And I don't really do ballads, and that's just because, you know, I've used to make, and still to an extent do make a living sort of playing in rowdier bars in London.
Yeah.
And you don't play ballads if you want to come back, you know.
No.
So you play upbeat stuff that's going to, you know, create a cool atmosphere, get people buying drinks. And so I'm sort of a product of my environment in that sense, where... but I also have a lot more fun doing it as well. But yeah, he's got that... because there's a lot of great songwriters out there, but a lot of the time great songwriters, it's more introspective and slow, which is, you know, great to listen to at home, I think, and on your in your headphones. But when I'm watching a gig... I want a bit of excitement, you know. I'm easily bored. If I'm out on a Friday night, I want a bit of energy.
Yeah, you definitely do. And I think, like, I was just talking, I have a little group chat with Josh Bettis and Alex Tempest, and I've just gone back and re-listened to Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast.
Oh, cool.
Like the history of country music one. And I've just been listening to, like, the Buck Owens episodes, and that, like, Buck Owens is one of my top, like, country artists. And what he kind of has reminded me of, as well as restarting this podcast, is like it's meant to be about joy, and it's meant to be about entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, and myself included, got guilty of being like, well, no, people need to shut the fuck up and listen. Because I have something important to say, and this is a really important song that I've agonized over lyrics for, and it's like, that's not what people are fucking here for, man. And I think that's what I'm kind of grappling with now, is like, you are meant to be a fucking entertainer, man. Like, that's the fucking thing. And Buck Owens, I think, for me, was like the epitome of that. Obviously, he came up with like the Orange Blossom specials, and like he came up in those honky tonks and those bars where it was, people are here to have a good time. If you aren't helping people have a good time, what the fuck are you doing? And I see artists now, and I'm like, what? And I don't like try to say this to be a dick, but I'm like, what are you trying to do on stage? What are you trying to get? Because it's not just you up there. If you wanted to just do this shit at home, you could. But what are you trying to make people feel in this thing? And that's like, I always try and like have it upbeat. And, you know, if we walk into a bar, and it's been a hell of a difference now. I have a band.
No one's talking over a drum kit, are they?
Yeah. But it is one of those things. But still, it's like, well, we're going to keep it fast. We're going to keep it fucking popping. But it's one of those things where the introspective and the ballads and stuff, cool. Is this the right place for that? And are you the right kind of artist to get people to stop? And then how do you do a set list that makes it kind of ebb and flow, where you could drop into a ballad and then, you know, ramp back up? And I think that's been, and especially like listening to your Live at the Greeno album and seeing like your live clips on TikTok and stuff, you've got that energy and you've got that kind of fucking entertainment factor that I think country music's been missing a lot of, especially kind of in the UK. And I think that's what was great about Luke Bell's music, was he did a lot of kind of the upbeat stuff, but the lyrics were still
amazing,
and still had a lot of wit, and it still had that thing. And it's like, you can do both. And like, but it's hard. I also think it's hard because getting a band together is so fucking hard as well. So you are just used to being on your own with an acoustic, and people just assume with acoustics it's sad shit all the time.
No, you're completely right. I mean, life's easier once you've got a band. And when you're on your own, if you're playing in a noisy environment, you can't be playing slow songs. But it does become... I mean, I think it depends where someone's coming from as well. If you sort of like... If you're doing that working musician in busy bars, trying to sing original music, then you do sort of, you adapt to it. And you, whether it's Buck Owens in a Honky Tonk way back when, or whether it's someone now in, Leeds or whatever. If that's your environment, to cut through, you adapt to it. But if you're sort of not doing that, and maybe you sort of gig less, or you only play listening rooms, then it makes sense that you're kind of going to be a bit more... The downbeat stuff works. I mean, I've played listening rooms, and it's always I always feel like I'm like a wartime minister at peace or something. Like, I don't know what to do with them. They're all there silently. It still works, though, is the thing. Because, if you've worked on the lyrics and stuff, even if it's a bit quicker, it still works. But, those sorts of rooms are definitely easier to kind of play ballads in.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's a rowdy Saturday night gig and you're on at midnight, you better you've got to be playing Folsom Prison Blues and whatever. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to be doing all that stuff.
Yeah. And that's like the thing I think, like, selfishly and egotistically, I've kind of been annoyed and resentful at for a while.
Mm.
But now, especially, like, I've just got Buck Owens live at Carnegie Hall on
Mm.
yellow vinyl. I just got that delivered this week, and I'm just like, what covers can I put in that I'm going to enjoy playing? And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what can I fucking keep everything kind of? Because we've been doing like, Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way by Waylon,
Oh, right.
and it's like, it's fun, man, and that's what I think. Because I've been doing this 10 years this year, I think that's what I kind of fucking slumped after COVID. Was I just got a bit resentful, and it was my own fault for doing it. But I just got resentful that like no one gives a fuck. I'm like, well, you're not giving anyone a reason to give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. No, I'm with you, man. It's you gotta entertain the people because you know it's almost like there's art and entertainment. You kind of want a mix of the two, but if you're just an artiste, and you know I sort of sarcastically say artiste because if you're 100%, I'm all art, no entertainment. The crowd should listen, and I've been there. Well, you know I've been there where the crowd would talk, and I would rant at them from the microphone. I've taken the mic stand off stage, put it in front of a table, and like I was an arsehole with it, you know, because I thought what I had to say was so important, and everyone should. I mean, the sense of entitlement looking back was like a bit gross, and I've sort of matured. At least I hope, you know, past it to the fact where it's like, okay, these people have been working, they're out here to have a good time. I'm gonna, you know, give them a show. And I don't think it's a compromise in any way. I still put as much care and attention to my songwriting. I just sort of go for a different vibe. I had something to say and now I've forgotten. What did you say just a second ago? What were you on about?
Just again, like the sense of like ego and stuff, and just, you know, it is a performance, and it is one of those things where, you know, you're not there to play for yourself, you're there to play for other people. And if you aren't being entertaining, kind of, what are you doing there?
Yeah, and it gets a lot more fun, I think, too, when you sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because when I was, as a teenager, I played rock and roll and played in rock bands and stuff. And I think then being a folk singer, part of me sort of missed
Yeah.
the sort of raucous energy of it. And then I think sort of playing honky tonk rockabilly country sort of melded it back. The sort of all the stuff I loved from the songwriting American guys to kind of bringing that rock and roll energy to it as well, fusing it together and getting people to go a bit crazy, you know.
Yeah, man, that's like what you, and especially like I said, like it's so hard to put a band together in this day and age. So
Well, it's a
it's,
nightmare, yeah.
yeah, you're lucky when you can't like finally can get to do it, because you know every cost and every kind of scheduling issue, like all of it just becomes so much more magnified. But the return is the shows are better. Like
The
it's
shows are better, and the camaraderie, it's so much more fun, like, you know, sharing the wins, sharing the losses
Yeah.
with a team. Than doing it all on your own. You know, if you do have a great solo gig, it's awesome, but you come off and there's no one who feels the way you feel.
No.
Or if it goes wrong, you can only blame yourself. That's almost the worst bit. But
Yeah.
you can blame someone else in the band. If you've got a band. No, but but you know, you share the wins, you share the losses. Is kind of a great part. I mean, the band I've got now, I'm just very happy with. It's a real like little team of brothers kind of vibe, and we just have a great time.
No, it is, man. Like I just did the venue up the road did a 48-hour like fundraising thing, like 48-hour gig. So I did that, like my first solo show in ages. I played to two people, and I was like, "This is why I have a band."
Yeah, man. It's what it is. You know, solo gigs. I mean, I play solo usually at like a cocktail bar, or whatever. Just sort of I'll play in the background,
Yeah.
play old blues and country stuff, and provide ambiance in return for cold hard cash. But yeah, when it's sort of a show to sort of there's a certain level you just can't reach on your own.
No.
If that's where you're coming from, if you want sort of that elevated level of excitement, you need a band.
Yeah.
If you're doing the sort of storyteller thing, I mean, there are musicians who the more you add, the less you get.
Yeah.
Like Nick Drake or someone, I'd say, is that sort of musician. And it makes sense for some people to kind of just do the solo thing, but yeah.
No, it is, and that's what I really like about like your live at the Green Note. Did your missus paint the album cover for that as well?
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome, isn't it?
What's her name again? Sorry,
Olivia.
Olivia.
Olivia, yeah. She well, Liv actually. When I did the very first single, the single back in 23, at the start of the Sunday Best project, a song called "Time Would Slow Down," and she'd done a drawing just for fun, and written "Time Would Slow Down." I saw it and was like, "That's the single art." Little did she know she'd sort of she'd signed herself up now for every single, everyone since. So bless her, she was doing all of the artworks for the singles, and she painted the Green Note cover. I think she's resigned from being my painter now, because it was a bit much to sort of be roping her in every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a fantastic painter, and because we had to get like a still, because they filmed it at Green Note, and I had to like freeze it somewhere and like just print that out in pretty bad quality, and she made it look all right. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. And obviously you did Song and Dance Man in August of 2025, the live album came out in December. Was the plan always to have a live album come out, or was it was recorded and you were like, fuck it, why not release it?
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because they're quite close together. The band had changed sort of before Song and Dance Man had even come out, so I was playing with the new sound, but I still had this record to put out. And so, the complication you get is, your sound that you're making live isn't the same as the sound you have out. So my solution was, well, I don't want to re-record all the material and stuff, but we'll do a live album. So you've kind of got you've got the companion piece almost, So that was sort of the solution to that sort of issue.
Yeah, cool, man. Because I released a live album in December/January, depending on how much the distributor fucked me over on timings. But that was purely because we played the Ferret in Preston, and then I got an email the next day being like, "By the way, we recorded it all. Here's all."
That's the best way.
Tracks. And I was like, "Oh no, yeah, no way." So it wasn't even, which was good, because I think if I'd have gone in knowing I was going to record an album, I would have shit the bed way more than
Yeah, because you only get one shot at it. It's not like the studio. There's no take twos. It's. I think that's the coolest way, actually, the way you had it there. I mean, we did record another show previously, which was almost like a practice one, and I listened back, and I think everyone had a few too many beers, maybe, or something. It wasn't quite hitting the mustard. But yeah.
And what was the sound like? Obviously, it changed from the Song and Dance Man album to the live album. What was it, a conscious decision to kind of change that sound, or was it just because the new members came in and brought a different vibe and sound?
Yeah, exactly. It was sort of a change in personnel in the band, and it sort of then became a sort of more rock and roll sort of sound. And it was it's wildly different, I think, really, to the more acoustic one. And it was like, well, let's get this down on record as well. Yeah.
And do you think that's going to influence your songwriting, or your goal for what songs will make it onto the next album? Because obviously you've released "If She's an Angel" Straight from Heaven, which is a fucking great song.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And obviously very kindly sent us I Just Can't Seem to Stay Sober, which is coming out in April, which was, again, really fucking cool. Has that band shift been influential on how these songs have been recorded and written?
It's a good question, isn't it? I think if you do have a permanent outfit, like, and you're a songwriter, you do, whether probably consciously but definitely subconsciously, you're aware of the sound that it's going to be filtered through, and that influences stuff. I mean, it's sort of like quite rockabilly in a way, I think, the sort of record we're making at the moment with these two new singles. And but I don't know how much. Well, yeah, I suppose it was folkier when you're sort of writing, well, fiddle's your lead instrument, you sort of lean more into the bluegrass vibe.
Yeah.
And when you've got someone ripping on a Telecaster, you lean more honky tonk rockabilly.
Yeah.
And so it does change the songwriting to a degree, yeah, what sort of vibe you're going for. But I don't think it. But at the end of the day, I'm still just sort of sitting and writing with an acoustic guitar at home. So, you know, I mean, when I write songs, I write way more than I ever put out, because most songs I write are fucking awful. I certainly just try and write a mass and try and then sift through all the crap to find some little specks of gold. And yeah, it's hard writing songs. I tend to write in batches. What I've done that's annoying is I sort of, because I've written the record that these first two singles are from. You know, I finished doing the writing in around December, and then I sort of gave myself a break because, you know, when you're doing the independent musician thing, I'm not 21 anymore. I can't just spend all my time obsessed with songwriting. You've also got to be promoting, booking, doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
But every time I stop writing, I forget how to write songs. I don't know if you have this, but it's like I pick up the guitar and I'm like, I don't know how to do it anymore. Like, what? I mean, you know, you can look at songs you've written like, okay, well, I definitely did, but it's sort of bizarre, and it's almost like every time I have to come up with a new way of doing it because I've forgotten how to do it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun though. It's always like trying to humble yourself again and kind of decode it all and work out how to do it. But I was trying to think about how I write songs, and it's often I hear someone say something. I mean, both of those singles, If She's an Angel Straight from Heaven was something Liv said. She was just in the hallway in our flat here, and I can't remember what we were saying, but she sort of sassily said, well, I'm an angel straight from heaven. And, you know, I was like, well, there we go. And I heard someone say, I just can't seem to stay sober. I forgot what the context was, but sometimes you just hear a line and you're like, that's a song.
Yeah.
And then the song writes itself, really. That's when it's best. But when I'm sat here with a guitar like, come on, song, come on, it's a lot harder.
It is.
They do happen that way too, though. It's like fishing, you know.
Yeah.
And you do get ideas. I mean, I once spent 4 hours writing one line. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
But like, I had got to the point after 3.5 hours, I was like, I'm shit at this. Why do I bother? Like, why am I doing this? I should do something else. Then finally it happened. It's like, so it takes, you know, it can take time to write songs, but it can also take no time at all, can't it?
Yeah, you can't even judge the quality of the song by how long it takes, because sometimes a great song will take 10 minutes. An equally great song that you love will take like 3 weeks to kind of fully form.
Yeah,
it's such a mystical process that I don't think anyone's ever really gonna.
It's frustrating that it is like that, but I guess that's what kind of makes it so intriguing.
Yeah.
To keep coming back to, because if it was like paint by numbers, it'd be boring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do paint by numbers because it's boring, but trying to write songs is sort of intriguing, and I sort of, what I like about sort of writing in sort of root styles is I think there's very much a craft to it.
Yeah.
Learning sort of little tricks in chord progressions, you know, and like lyrical structures. I mean, say like the old start with the first verse, end with the first verse is like Guy Clark's little trick that he loves to do. And I was like, nick that, and all the secondary dominant stuff from chord changes from the ragtime musicians.
Yeah,
you kind of shove in, and I think you get better with time, which I think is one of the cool things.
Yeah, it does. You
know, whereas I think maybe there must be other styles where if it's just based on solely lyrics, maybe it's harder to get better with time, because maybe you what you have to say at 21's more interesting than what you have to say at 51. I don't know. Or maybe it's the other way around.
I think, and this is purely with no thought going into it, this is just what my initial thought right now is. I think metal gets worse as you get older, and country and roots and folk music gets better as you get older. Because it's hard, like for Kiss, to be singing about fucking. for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
50 years. Because it's
yeah,
like, you
yeah,
can't be singing Christine 16 when you're 70, dude. That's wrong.
yeah.
While, like, you can have John Prine singing Angel from Montgomery that you wrote in his 20s,
It's got
and
more
when he's in
depth,
his
even.
60s, there's a whole other weight to it. And it's the same
Yeah,
thing with
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like Guy Clark. And, if Towns Van Zandt had lived to an older age, how would have, like, Waiting Around to Die or Pancho and Lefty sounded?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Actually,
But
they
that's,
take something
yeah,
new.
yeah.
Although Towns,
That's, yeah.
sorry, I cut you off there. What were
No,
you
it's
saying?
okay. That's just my knee jerk reaction with no other thought. Is I think metal gets worse as you get older as a
Yeah,
songwriter, and country and roots gets better as you get older.
there's probably. I mean, it's definitely some truth to it. That if something's relying on sort of testosterone quite a lot. I mean, certainly goes down. Don't we
Yeah.
see the studies? So you've probably got less of that fuel, whereas the country writers get better. But Hank died at 29. I'm
Yeah.
29 now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is, but it's like that's. But one of the things that bugs me actually. This will get me rambling now. Is Hank didn't live into his 30s, and I think there's this idea I see in the UK that Americana music, country music, is for an older crowd, and I just don't agree at all.
No.
Hank did it for young people. Buck Owens did it for young people. Luke Bell's a young guy. It's it's not just for older people. I think it's the way the industry is set up here, and the promoters networks do involve an older crowd. But
Yeah.
I think if young people saw it and even knew about it, they'd love it. I mean, we're playing like rowdy music for people to drink and dance to in bars.
Yeah.
That's not for old people sitting down. That's for young people having a good time.
Yeah.
And part of what I really want to do is try and build a younger crowd. I'm not saying that the older people aren't welcome. I'm not going to have
No,
someone
not
at the
at all.
door sort of getting IDs out, and if you're over a certain age, you can't come in. But I just mean, I think that sort of vitality and exuberance, that is sort of missing a bit
Yeah.
from the crowds. And I think there's a way to get to it. And I could start going on about TikTok, which is, one of those things. But since I've been using it, I've had a couple of people show up to my shows who are like in their 20s, 30s
Yeah.
and stuff. And I can't reach them through Facebook.
No.
Um,
No. Facebook's definitely an older demographic, and that's what I don't really like about going to blues gigs.
it's a lot
Is
of older
like
crowd.
they're at like the Liverpool Philharmonic, which isn't like a blues venue. It's just like it's a really great venue. It sounds amazing, but like it's not where blues should be. And a lot of the crowd are obviously older. They found it during like the blues revival of the '60s, and it all feels kind of very academic.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like they're looking at it from like a study kind of point of view, and they're not like, and that's just me being biased and looking at all these people who are sat there, but no one's feeling it in like the same way that like you want them to, or at
It's
least
like a museum.
yeah, yeah, that's a fucking great way to put it. And
Yeah.
I think that's like the hard thing about some country music, and I think the crowds sometimes I get like for like we've like when I've booked like Summer Dean and Jesse Daniel and stuff, the crowd's been getting younger, and I think Gems on VHS and Western AF, like the YouTube channels, have been a big help for that. And then again, just a knee jerk thought I've had about talking about Hank Williams and like the sound and like weight of his songwriting he had before he even was 30 was, is it those type of musicians back then had a younger crowd but had that weight? Because if he died, was it 1957?
I don't know actually.
1950. Well, he died in the late 50s, so he was what, born in like 1930s, like late 1920s, early 1930s, which is what a lot of the main country singers were. They then either lived or just missed the Great Depression, World War One, and
Hmm.
World War Two.
Right.
So they had a whole other level of like weight of the world on them than the kind of folks from the 60s and 70s. Maybe that was why their songwriting seemed older than they were, because of the surrounding circumstances. Again, I've not researched this, it's literally just a knee-jerk thought I've just had.
Shooting from the hip, yeah. I like it.
But is that a reason? And then is that potentially why this type of music's getting vital and relevant again now? Because this feels like the most tumultuous time since the 20s and
It's
30s.
an interesting point, yeah. Yeah, but I mean the 50s. I mean Hank's late 40s into the 50s. I mean the economy was doing pretty good in the 50s though as well. But I think in America, I think you don't have it's not just an older crowd into it.
No.
And it's not in European places either. It seems to be a very UK sort of issue.
Yeah.
I think I just think it's maybe a marketing sort of problem.
Probably. Because I know, when I did a few shows like Nick Shoulders, his crowd was all pretty much 40 and younger,
Right? Yeah.
and still which is relatively young for a crowd, and there was kids.
I mean,
in the
I
20s
don't
and
I don't
stuff,
care how old they are, but all I want, I think, is people moving around and having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's just if everyone's just sort of sat in chairs, staring up at us, and we're kind of going for it, it just doesn't work. It's almost embarrassing.
Yeah.
You're there giving a huge shit. Be like, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to AC/DC, but say you saw AC/DC playing to a seated audience.
Yeah.
The image doesn't make sense.
No.
And if you're pursuing a sort of high energy show and you've got the seated crowd, but how to sort of get young people into, and it's part of the problem with when people will say you do country music, and a lot of people hate country music, but what they hate, they don't even know about they don't even know the sort of country music that I'm on about.
No.
Exists. What they hate is sort of country pop, modern country pop, and fair enough,
Yeah, and it's how do you kind of break because I obviously put on shows and stuff. Is how do you find those type of people and how do you market that type of thing? And it's such, if there was a silver bullet to it, we'd all have sold out shows. But it is one of those things because I saw Machine Gun Kelly on Saturday just gone, and then he did a song with Jelly Roll apparently, and they did that song. Jelly Roll didn't show up, thank God, but he did that song, and everyone was fucking screaming along to it. But the chorus is a straight rip of Country Roads.
Oh yeah,
it's just changed the words, and my wife was trying to bait me into losing that shit in the audience. And I was just yeah, it sucks, but this is what people's kind of exposure is to. But how do you get those people to kind of find other stuff? Because it's people are people say, "Oh, I'm into country," and then they start talking about Morgan Wallen and stuff, and it's
it's a different genre.
Yeah, it's different, but maybe you'll give them a fucking Luke Bell record and hopefully blow their minds.
They might dig it. It's you never know. I mean, I think in the States, Dale Watson does, or I don't know if he's still doing it, was doing this thing called the Ameripolitan Awards, and he's trying to create a home for people doing roots-based country music, and trying to give it its own identity with this term Ameripolitan.
Yeah.
I mean, if you said someone over here, yeah, play Ameripolitan music, they'd be like, what, the ice cream or something? It just wouldn't make any sense, would it? So, sticking with, but I was certainly uneasy with the country label for so long, because I'd called myself kind of bluesy for so long too, and I think bluesy kind of carries a bit more street cred, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Than in sort of the average Joe's mind, and saying you make country music, they're think it's kind of hokey.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there with a pink cowboy hat, sort of singing Country Roads, and it's no, it's cooler than that, please. But yeah, it's a funny one, trying to communicate exactly what you do. But yeah, I mean, it's why I use words like honky tonk, rockabilly these days, Sort of lent into the rockabilly thing. Whenever there's a guy with a quiff in the audience, always loves us. That's what I've noticed. So.
Yeah, man. You can always look for the signs. I think that's the really cool thing. But then again, that's yeah, it's just so hard to because that's the thing is you can just get into the weeds about genre and stuff. And you do see people's eyes. Someone today, the other day, was asking if it was what I play and stuff, and I was like, oh, I play country music, and they were like, huh. And it's like, no, wait, and like you try and start like explaining it more, but it's just so hard what people's preconceptions are, and then it's also like preconceptions about like racism and like that type
Oh
of thing
yeah,
as well, and it's
all
one of
that
those
stuff.
things because I did a tour when did I 2017 or 2018, and
Mm.
on the poster it said alt country,
Okay, yeah.
and someone took that as alt right.
Oh right.
That was a fucking awkward conversation.
Ah, no, that's not what you want.
No, so then, and obviously I fucking, I'm not, but I look like a fucking neo-Nazi, which isn't, super helpful.
Yeah, right.
Like, so, if some fucking huge white guy with blonde hair and a beard shows up and, like, they think they're getting an alt-right night of fucking music, and I had to
Yeah,
be like, no, here's the fucking songs about killing the billionaires. Like, be nice to
yeah.
people. Like, it was a really fucking awkward thing, but again, it's just there's so many, like, prejudices and preconceived notions of what country music is and was that, like, yeah, how to get people through the door and how to get young people through the door is just nuts.
Yeah, yeah. But I've got a lot of hope for it. I
Yeah.
think that's that's something I'm going to sort of a bit of a mission of mine. Is to try and bring Honky Tonk to the youth and see if they like it. And
Yeah.
maybe I'll get it to them and they'll think I'm an arsehole, but we'll see.
Well, I think because again, it's got that sincerity and like authenticity to it where people will enjoy it, and especially if they're having a night of drinking and stuff. And I think the tide is turning because you look at Tyler Childers is just on an arena tour this week,
Mm.
and if 23,000 people are showing up for him, surely we can get 50.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I quite like. I saw Tyler Childers years ago in Brighton, and it was in like a tiny room, and he
Mm,
wasn't famous over here yet.
no.
And then I think I saw him. I think it was Shepherd's Bush, but it might have been Hammersmith. I always get the two confused. But I saw him at a bigger place,
Mm,
and yeah, it was great. But my favourite show I've seen of sort of the sort of big American guys. I saw Charlie Crockett do a show in London, and
yeah.
that was amazing. He didn't talk the whole time. It was just song after
Yeah.
song after song after song. It was so old school, and like it was just a continuous vibe
Yeah.
of like great music. Everyone's having a good time. He spoke a tiny bit at the end to say thank you, but I found that just awesome. It was so slick
Yeah.
and entertaining, and he's doing his dancing, and the
Yeah.
songs are great. The guys
That's
doing the
like
trumpet.
the thing. I think that's a really good, like, kind of like a comparison. Like, I think Tyler Childers leans more towards the art, while Crocker leans more towards the entertainment. I think Charlie is definitely more like the Book Owens
Yeah,
playbook. But and it's fucking phenomenal. But again, both of them have incredible songs to hold up those things.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It's funny the entertaining thing. I think I was trying to remember this earlier, and then I'd forgotten. It's hard to remember what you've forgotten. That's the problem I was having. But it's the reason I called that record "Song and Dance Man" was because I don't know if you know the reference. There's a Dylan interview where he's being asked all about what his songs mean, and he kind of all cagey. He's like, I don't know, I'm just a song and dance man, and
Yeah.
bats him away. And clearly he's not a song and dance man. He's very into the the poet side of it. But I thought that's a sort of humorous way of embracing the idea that you're an entertainer rather
Yeah.
than an artiste. Is the song and dance man sort of title? But Crockett's a showman.
Yeah.
He's really inspiring. I think in this modern era because he just puts out so much.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop. He's relentless, and it's kind of. I think we're now in an era where it's not like an album every 2 years. It's
No.
like with Crockett, it's like he's almost like on a 1960s cycle. It's 2 albums a year sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Some people, I know don't like it, and they think that it was nice when you could take more time and that we're all rushing and it's all quantity over quality. But you can have both. You can have
Yeah.
a high quantity of quality stuff. Which is what someone like Charlie Crockett's doing, and I personally love it. I love working fast because if I don't know if you have the same thing, but if you record something, then you sit on it, you kind of stop identifying with it,
Yeah.
and then it's annoying to release it. And I've had this experience, and I want to write songs, record them, release them,
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang. So I there's things about the way the world consumes music right now that I quite like.
Yeah.
And it's like singles. There's people who love albums. I kind of love singles too, from a writing perspective. I don't write bodies of work. I just write songs, and they're tied together by genre. But I mean, I'm really not trying to tie them together by theme or anything. So I quite like the whole just releasing singles thing.
Yeah. I think it does feed into, again, I've just, like, because of the cocaine and rioting, so I think I've just gone back to like the George Jones season, and the first episode's about kind of Star Day and the record label, and it does seem like it's gone back to how it was in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
where they just want singles, and in this day and age the algorithm just wants singles. So that's why, like, I've been trying to get into the studio for the last like 6 months, and I've just not had, like, the time's not fallen together. But when I do, I don't think most of the songs I've written, because my first album came out in 2020, so it's been 6 years now. I don't think a lot of the songs I've written in between then are going to end up
Right.
on an album or anything. So I do want to kind of just record as much as possible and then just release like a single every like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
That'll just give me like fucking 3 years worth of stuff.
yeah, it's amazing. You got to get songs you've written out, or you're like creatively constipated.
Yeah.
And you can't. You need to shit it all out so you can eat again. That's kind of the way I see it. I hate having a backlog of written material. It stops me. It makes me anxious in some sort of way that I can't explain, and I can't make new stuff. But yeah, it's firing out singles. Yeah, I mean, people going about the algorithm. But it's just like what the algorithm to us now is what the radio was to guys in the 50s.
Yeah, that's a really fucking good analogy.
And it's like if you watch Walk the Line, the biopic about Johnny Cash, and he's obsessed about getting on the radio at the start, and it's the modern equivalent is you'd be obsessed about going viral.
Yeah.
You want to trigger the algorithm of your song and it get out to loads of people. The methods for doing it, seem to be you have to go, give a piece of your soul to social media, which I don't love, but I've started going nuts on it since the end of last year, because when I put the live album out, no one listened to it. And it was depressing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to do what I can here, and I'm looking down the barrel of the gun at 30, and I think I want to start getting some traction going. So I'm just going to try and hammer away on social media. And recently, it's been working where I've got more people actually listening to the songs.
Yeah.
And that's what I always wanted.
Yeah.
It's just do whatever I have to do on these posts, whether it's playing song, whether it's some cringy caption, but it gets people listening to the music.
Yeah. But
It's
I also think
weird.
like people talk about like selling their soul to social media, but it's like, but you had to go on radio shows.
Yeah.
And like I was listening, like they had to go to like DJ conferences. Could you imagine having to go to a fucking DJ conference and being nice to like 200 sweaty ass DJs?
Yeah. I think
Like,
you're
and you
right.
have to like bite your tongue and fucking be nice and not say what you actually want to say. And
Yeah.
well, with social media, like you can be a bit more true, because like you're not beholden to a label. I'm not beholden to a label. So if I want to
True.
say fucking behead the Gillet, like the billionaires, I can do
You
that,
can.
and like people will go,
You'll
yeah, I
find
agree
people
with that.
going,
Here's a song for it.
hell yeah.
Like your soul is given away more on your terms as opposed to what it was in like the 50s and 60s. I feel like you're still
That's
doing
true.
it, but
Yeah, there was always a game to be played.
yeah,
I think people can develop some sort of like nostalgic and romantic vision of the past where people, artists got to be completely authentic and their music just managed to make it to everyone. But people were hustling just as much back then. It's just
and like I know people begrudge kind of paying for like social media advertising, like Facebook ads and stuff. But do you think no one's paid for advertising in the history of fucking music promotion? Like,
sorry, I've just got to hang up this call. Yeah. Well, no, exactly. Yeah, it's how did people get on? I mean, payola was a whole thing.
Yeah,
Billboard
exactly.
is a whole thing. It's the only way you got your music heard involved marketing. It's just, I mean, this has been my final frontier, and I think my 21-year-old self would hate the fact that I'm now posting on TikTok, because I was very idealistic.
Yeah.
And like, fuck the system. I'll never do that. It's just about the song being good enough. But he had a student loan and I don't. It's one of those things where life gets a bit more real as you get a bit older, and you're like, okay. But yeah, the marketing side of things, yeah, it's because, I think especially if you're into sort of vintage music, you sort of follow the examples of your heroes and the stagecraft and the songwriting. But then and that all still works. I can write songs like inspired by Hank Williams, and if I do it right, it'll sound cool. I can do Johnny Cash's kind of gun thing, and it'll look cool. But if I try and copy the way they marketed their music, it won't work.
Yep.
And I think we spoke about this online. I think like if Hank Williams had TikTok, I mean, it's impossible to actually imagine the scenario because he's no longer Hank Williams, because he's only, if you take a person out of their place and time, they cease to be that person. But, so I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but, I reckon he would have been there with the phone, because he did a radio show every morning.
Yeah, I've got a record, and it's like the March of Dimes thing, and he's doing the fucking audio plugs in between it and stuff. Like,
there you
doing.
go. Yeah. So it's easy, it's kind of, it sort of lets you off the hook as a Hank fan as well, if you kind of, because you can paint him as this romantic saint who he was all about the art, but then you realise, no, he was plugging stuff and making a buck, and trying to get his music out there.
With the DJs, you have to adhere to the sponsors, and like I was just like re-listening to the Tom T. Hall episode, and he's writing jingles in between his shows and shit for the sponsors and stuff, and that was like a big piece of country music back in the day. So for people to think you don't have to kind of sell yourself is really naive in a way.
I completely, naive. I like that. I think that's right. I mean, to be authentic, and when you're making your art, when you're writing it and recording it, just be doing it because you want to do it, because it's an end in itself and not a means to something else. And it's hard to sort of compartmentalize that mindset, but that's the best way to do it. But then when it comes to promoting, you have to sort of enter another mindset, and be like, I want as many people to hear this as possible. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And so on, But I'm weirdly passionate about promotion, which is really strange. But it's only because it's like a new hobby of mine. Yeah. I've never really done it before. I was the guy who'd put out an album. Like I did an album in 23 called The Devil Knows, and I just popped it out. I think there was a solitary Instagram post, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I was sort of the naive mindset that build it and they shall come. If I make something so good, everyone's going to go and listen to it. Or I'll just play gigs and amass a following somehow, word of mouth will spread. But none of that was true. It was just sort of wishful thinking.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and like I think it's hard because history has skewed that's what happened back in the day. And that's just not the case, because there was so many palms being greased and so much money getting plugged behind the scenes that maybe the artist didn't initially know about, that they did think they just kind of built this following from scratch, but there was so many wheels and cogs turning behind. It happened, but we have to be those wheels and cogs as well in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the story about Oasis getting signed in Glasgow, and it was like almost an empty room. But because they were so good, the record label signed them and developed them, and you don't get that anymore. No. You kind of have to build it up yourself. But, there's something awesome about the fact that, the phone thing. I mean, for all of the cons of social media, the pro is you or I can put our phone there, sing a song, upload it, and loads of people could see it.
Yeah.
And connect with it. And, you kind of want your song to be heard by loads of people. So in a way, it's never been easier. No. It's just working out how these bastard algorithms work. Yeah. It's not the tricky bit of know-how to kind of get on with. But the tricky thing I find, just because I've got this new single out, I'm going to be putting another one out, trying to promote them so hard, is I'm very obsessive by nature. Like I got obsessed with fingerpicking, or with any influence I've ever had. I've had a phase with them, and it tends to be like they are God in my world for a little bit. So whether it was Luke Bell or Hank Williams or Townes Van Zandt or whoever, at a time in my life, they were like my North Star. And I think one of the challenges is balancing, putting a bit of time into promoting your stuff, but not letting it consume you to the fact you're not writing new stuff.
No.
and that's something I'm struggling with right now. Is I've gone a bit too far, going nuts, trying to promote myself. That I've sort of lost touch a bit with just sitting and playing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, even this morning, I was just trying to get back into that. Just sitting there and playing the guitar, singing some covers, writing my own songs, practicing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is all about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it is, man. It's crazy. Like, I remember, like, when Ace Frehley passed away, like, he's, like, the guitarist that made me want to pick up a guitar. And after he passed, I was like, I got my fucking electric guitar out, I set my amp up, and just played for fun. And I was like,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
not fucking played for fun
Yeah, what
in, like,
happened?
6 years. And I just, like, went through a bunch of old Kiss and Ace songs, and then
Yeah.
just, like, played some Judas Priest, and just, like, fucking jammed. And was like, holy fuck, I actually haven't actually played guitar like this in God knows how
And it's
long.
the best thing in the world,
Yeah,
isn't it? When you're like just playing, it's like the meaning of life.
yeah,
Like I've had that just practicing guitar. I mean, I love to practice, but I'm just like, I don't think I'd need to ever travel the world. This is just what happiness is, just like trying
yeah,
to learn a song and playing. And but similar to you. I sort of, you know, get lost out in the sea and forget that island even exists. You
yeah,
know, but it's. I mean, it's been an adult, isn't it? And
yeah. That's the
there's so much
yeah,
other crap going on.
yeah. I have a
That
2-year-old, so like, I
right,
fucking
yeah.
picked up my acoustic guitar and I rattled about 4 guitar picks and a few shapes out of it because he'd just been putting shit in it.
So it gets harder to play for fun, but
Yeah,
that's what we were always kind of dream. That's why we started doing it. I think is what one of the things that I'm remembering that I'd forgotten is
yeah,
there's got to be a song in that somewhere, isn't it? But the reason we wanted to be like out there gigging was this kind of dream was this is so much fun. Imagine if all I did was this.
yeah,
And then we get into like gigging and organising and playing, then like, oh, I've got to play the guitar to write a new song or whatever, and
yeah,
completely lose connection with
yeah,
that initial motivation and stuff. And yeah, part of the challenge is trying to balance all the sort of demands
yeah,
of being a modern independent musician
yeah.
with sort of protecting that sort of quite pure inspiration.
It is, and that's what, like, with this podcast and with like the road country stuff, because I was just getting like bogged down in like, do I actually want to fucking do this? Because it was like we lost the fun of it all, like because of like
Yeah,
the messages we were getting from people, the like pressures we were trying to get from people who were like, well, I want a gig now, and it's like I've only got so much fucking time and
yeah, yeah,
energy to this, where it was like it took the fun out of it, where I was just like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. So like that's why I took a year off, kind of last year from putting shows on. And the nice thing for the podcast as well is like the last kind of like 5 conversations I've had, yourself, Susanna Clay, Paul Armour, Walker Tex, it's like, oh, this is fucking fun. It's a fun conversation about the joy and passion of music.
mm.
And you do get sidetracked because everything is, how do you monetize it? Like that's like the
Yeah,
hard thing, is
it's
like, how do
true
I
though.
then turn this into a fucking side hustle instead of what I loved initially was having a
Yeah, yeah,
chat with someone who's fucking passionate about music.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, completely, man. It's a tricky one, but you know, if you ignore all the sort of necessary evils, you sort of get. I found with me, I get a bit depressed with the lack of results,
Yeah,
and it's that, you know, it's balancing the middle path, you know, as the Buddha would have said,
yeah,
is the one we've got to try and walk with it, trying to remember why we actually wanted to do it,
yeah,
but also trying to make it successful.
yeah,
Through whatever frustrating and annoying promotion, whatever,
yeah.
monetize it, all
No,
that stuff.
no, definitely. And like Bedders, sent me a TikTok because that's how we get all our mental health updates in this day and age. But he sent me a video and it was a guy saying, the more I heal, the less ambitious I am.
Mm,
And, having like a 2-year-old and that's like where all my energy's going is like, oh, I don't need to fucking go out and play to a crowd.
mm,
I don't have that kind of, I still have that fucking hole and I talk about it on stage. I've written songs about it, but it's like that hole's smaller now. So it's
mm.
like, I don't need to be kind of like, if someone offered me a 30-day tour now, I'd probably turn it down because
Wow.
I don't want to be away from my kid that long. Even
Yeah,
like
no, I
I
get it.
did
Yeah,
the like I toured with Four and the Strange Band last year, and
yeah.
that was only 3 dates,
How was
and
that?
that was amazing. But even then, Brighton didn't happen because the van fucking died of death.
Oh, I remember seeing you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's heartbreaking.
three
Yeah,
dates was like kind of as much as I could kind of fucking hack. Then like I say to my wife, and like it would have to be fucking like flogging Molly or
mm,
clutch to kind of get me to agree to anything longer than 3 days. Like it
yeah,
literally had to be the great great grandson of Hank Williams to make me fucking think about touring again.
yeah. What was he like?
He was really
Gotta
nice,
ask. Yeah,
really intense, really kind of
no,
driven, focused, talked at 60 miles an hour.
right, right,
Really cool guy. Um, really passionate. Came to head with quite a few people, but you
right.
see all this online and stuff. Very
Yeah, yeah.
outspoken in how he wants things to be, which as an artist you got to respect. And I think I don't want to talk for him, but I think the burden of being the great
I've been
grandson
thankful. Yeah,
is kind of a thing, and I think striving to create your own artist identity in any way, shape, or form is hard, but to have that legacy must be harder
mm,
as well.
mm,
So
mm.
it's kind of on the back foot, and like he did talk about it live, being like, "Do not ask me to play any fucking Hank songs,"
Right, right.
and it's hard as well because he said he's like, I didn't know him. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's probably like he's heard all the stories everyone else has, plus the more private ones that I assume a few other people have. But then
Mm.
Hank Jr. didn't really know Hank,
Yeah, he was a
so
kid, little kid, wasn't he?
I generally I don't know how many people who are still alive would know him and
Yeah,
have any stories that people haven't heard before. So it's got to be such a hard legacy to have someone talk about like a great granddad you don't have any memory of.
Yeah. It's
Like,
interesting.
but him and his band are absolutely lovely. And like I said this when I got the gigs and stuff. Like his like Four and the Strange Band were massively influential on how I wanted to put a band together and that kind of like heavier country sound. But then even he
Mm.
was like, I do not fucking play that anymore. And he's like
Right,
a lot more like you guys would go really fucking well with him if he tours again. Like
right,
it is a
right.
lot more of like a traditional honky tonk country sound.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not got those like distorted guitars from the first album and stuff.
Right. It's an interesting mix to kind of do that sort of heavy sound and mix it with country, isn't it? I mean,
Mm,
cool though.
yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Like my drummer's from Cathedral, like the doom metal
Oh,
band.
really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and we're all metalheads, but we all just love. But
So
even my
how did you get into doing country then if you're a metal guy?
so Metal Hammer, the magazine,
Yeah, yeah.
did a cover, like a special story on Robert Johnson, and was
Oh,
just like
okay.
the most metal non-metal singer ever. And I must have read that when I was like 12 or 13.
Right.
Got massively into Robert Johnson, and around that same time, the Dawn of the Dead remake came out, and it
Uh-huh.
had When the Man Comes Around by Johnny Cash in
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
opening scene when like the
That's
world
such a
goes to
good
hell.
song.
It's fucking brilliant. So I
Yeah.
got like Robert Johnson and Johnny Cash at the same time. At the same time, Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out.
Mm.
So I had like these three things kind of happen in like roots music and like my
Right,
periphery
right, right, right,
while
right.
I was still obsessed with fucking Linkin Park and stuff. And yeah, from there, because even like the first time I saw Chris Christopherson, I didn't know any of his songs. It was just the guy from Blades playing in Liverpool.
Right.
Let's go. And then like so I saw
Yeah.
him do all his fucking songs. He had his daughter come on stage, and it was no band. It was literally just him and a
Oh,
guitar.
wow.
And like I got to meet him at the end of it and stuff very briefly.
Wow.
Um, and it was just like that was what I found was like the Robert Johnson, and then it was into like Howlin' Wolf and like the song Evil, where it's just got that fucking brilliant piano part and a load of like Hubert Sumlin's stuff, and just going through like that type of thing. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
as I was starting to pick up an acoustic guitar and sing this in like 2016 was when the first kind of new wave of dark country music was starting to come out.
Mm.
So there was like Sean James. I don't know if you've listened much to him, but he did a song that ended up blowing up on like the Last of Us 2 video game. So I like in 2017 I got to like tour with him, like my first UK
Oh,
tour,
cool.
and it was his first UK tour. And like this year he was playing all the fucking like O2s and shit. but then it was like Sean James and then Amigo the Devil and Nick Shoulders and Bridge Citizens, and then like this like darker, heavier sound of like country music was coming through.
Mm.
So it kind of got like I perfectly kind of like fused into
Right.
that type of
That's
stuff.
interesting. That's interesting.
Mm.
You know your story really good too, actually. That's the opposite of me. Someone else still got no idea what's going on. But yeah, interesting. It's interesting. Robert Johnson and Metal Hammer, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, sort of the blue. It goes back to what you were saying about the blues rock thing. I mean, I think like sort of Robert Johnson. It's sort of like he's seen as like Abraham
yeah,
to like rock fans or something. He's like this kind of mythological ancestor of their music.
yeah,
Um, to what extent that's true, I think's another another topic. But that's interesting. Yeah, the whole metalhead country fusion thing.
yeah,
I mean, dark country, I guess, is where it sort of meets.
yeah.
There's bands like The Devil Makes Free and stuff. They
Yeah,
do that
so
kind of-
they're massive. Like Pete has been on the podcast as well, like the singer,
Oh right.
and it's that type of thing, and that's what I enjoy. I don't know if you've seen any of these. So, like, obviously, I go to record store days and browse record shops, but
Uh-huh.
these are Hillbillies in Health.
Oh cool.
So these are what is it? What's the actual title? So it's country music between 1962 and 1974, but it's
Okay.
all just the darkest fucking country songs
Oh,
possible.
right.
But they have folks like Stonewall Jackson, Ernest Tubb, Henson Cargill, Waylon Jennings. They have a lot of like great country artists. They've picked like the heaviest and darkest country songs.
Right,
So
interesting.
I found those which were really cool, and that's made me want to like I never want to veer from like the country sound. Like I want to make sure that the country is like the first thing you kind of get from it.
Right,
I
country.
don't want someone
That's
to
the
think
first
it's a
umbrella.
metal song that I just fucking kind of detuned and whack a country like into it. It's important that the country is forefront for it, and that's what I think a lot of the good dark country artists kind of do. And then Call to Wall did Sleeping on Blacktop and that
Yeah, okay.
very
Yeah, I mean
Appalachia
he's
stuff, and
I love the way he's developed Culture
yeah,
Wall. I love that Western swing and waltzes and
yeah,
he's very cool. His voice kind of changed, and he had that really gruff thing when he did Sleeping on the Backdrop and
yeah.
stuff, and it kind of
I think that just
lightened
kind of
up.
showed it was put on,
Yeah, it was a bit affected
and
maybe,
it
and
would have
sort of
just shagged his voice if he'd have carried to try to like stay on that way.
yeah, yeah. It's funny though, dark stuff. I mean, I sort of like listening to it. It's like, I mean, Hank's got his sad songs, so it's like, I mean, Towns is, I mean, he's the Archbishop of Misery, isn't he, Towns
Yeah,
Van Zandt? It's all, that man paints in black and lighter shades of black, but it's just black,
yeah,
and it's cool, but it's like John Prine, he has the kind of, the sadness, but it's balanced
yeah,
with the humour. Whereas when it's just dark
yeah,
or just sad, I sort of struggle
yeah.
with it a little bit,
Mm.
just because I don't think it's true to life.
No, no, I don't think so. And I think that's been the hard thing. And I talked to Walker Tex about this: is you don't want it all to be just like the slow tempo
Yeah,
doom and gloom stuff. Because obviously, like Hank, like his probably best dark
sounded
country,
happy.
yeah, but his best dark country song is probably Angel of Death.
Yeah, right.
But that's still not, super slow, super doomy, and that's what I enjoy about it. Even like, Knoxville Girl by the Louvren Brothers, it's like really kind of like fast
Snappy
tempoed
fast.
about
Yeah.
just beating a girl to death with a stick, but it's horrific songs, and that's what I
Yeah.
try to do with like my dark country stuff. Is like I have an entire song about fucking burning down your place of work and killing everyone in it, but
Right.
it's a waltz. It's a mid
Can
tempo
dance
kind
to
of
it.
thing. That's the thing, and like that is the thing. People do dance to it, and that's the important thing to me is you have that thing. You can't be fucking slow doom and gloom because again,
Yeah.
to tie it all back, that's not entertainment.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, you can express like very real and dark human feelings, but you can put it to a danceable,
Yeah.
snappy beat. Hank Williams would sing about wanting to kill himself to like an upbeat honky tonk
Yeah.
tune. And that's kind of, happy sad. You don't, just because it's upbeat doesn't mean you have to be writing bubblegum
No.
sort of lyrics. It's not like I mean, some of that, like, you get the 50s rockabilly stuff. Some of it, because it was written for teenagers, some of the lyrics, I find a little dull. But the sounds, I love those 50s sounds, the slap back and the guitars and stuff. But yeah, it's always fun, that irony you get, and a lot of bluegrass as well, where, have these horrific stories being sung to this kind of very jolly, joyful music.
Yeah. And that's that's like the thing that I do try to take away from like the Hillbillies and Hell records and the bluegrass and stuff is that's what I want my songs to be. I don't want them to be fucking the drop D Sons of Anarchy-esque doom and gloom country rock that like is like associated with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I love about like Amigo the Devil and things. It's got that pace to it.
Yeah. The need for speed. Once you start going fast, you can't go slow again. It gets addictive.
But amazing, man. I don't want to take up too much time, so we've been chatting for like over an hour now, and I really fucking it's been screaming by, and like this has been an absolutely lovely chat.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah, you've got a spring tour coming up in Ireland and Europe
That's right.
April, is it?
Yeah, it's the end of April. We're going to hit the road. We're doing a week in Ireland. Play Belfast, Dublin, and then at the Kilkenny Roots Festival, we're playing the Music Trail around there for the whole weekend. We're doing 4 shows. Then we're coming back home. We'll be back in London for a bit. Then we're going over to the Netherlands and Belgium for a run in May. Yeah,
awesome, man.
So looking forward to that. Need to do some more UK stuff, but I need to get me a booking agent, man. I can't. I already spin too many plates.
Yeah, I'll send you across some folks. But yeah, man, we need to do a show. I need to bring you up north as well. And,
that'd be awesome. Yeah. Sort of come and play up there.
Yeah, man. And I just can't seem to stay sober is out in April.
That's right. That's the plan. Unless something tragic goes on, I decide to re-record it. But no, it should be coming up first Friday of April. So yeah, more new music's coming soon.
Awesome, man. Well, let's end it there. But this has been an absolutely fucking phenomenal chat, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There we have it. That is episode 79 of the Rogue Country Podcast in the bag with Dom Glynn himself. Make sure you follow him on all socials. He is dropping a new single in April. It is incredible. Don't forget to come to our shows. We've got Fine Lines, Bob Sumner, Grey Delisle, Thunder and Rain. We are bringing country back in a big way to the Northwest, and it's all because of you folks buying tickets. So until next time, keep it rogue. Take care.